If we have money, it's easier to stay inside of the experience we want because we're not so pulled by thinking something terrible is going to happen and I'm going to end up on the street, which is a really hard experience, and I don't want that. Great. So if we can lock this thing up called money, then it makes it easier for us to go do this thing called here's exactly the road trip that I'm on and what I love about it.
I used to chase the ROI all the time, return on investment. And over the course of time, that has evolved into what I call return on life.
Welcome back, listeners. I am so excited and thrilled to have a very interesting guest. I think you guys are going to have just maybe a light moment, maybe a goosebump moment today, because we've got a guest that is got a lot of depth. Let me tell you, a lot of depth. Scott Royal Smith is a fellow that lives out of Texas. It is Austin, Texas, and he's done a lot of stuff that I think you're going to be very, very impressed with. But more importantly, it's going to be coming from a heart, a sense of return on life, which is what this podcast is about, of course. Scott is an investor, an asset protection attorney, an entrepreneur, all things from even owning a mechanic shop. Can you believe that? So we've got this massively depth of an individual that's going to be sharing with us. Scott, thank you for being on our podcast here on Return on Life podcast. Share a little bit about yourself that we've maybe missed in that quick introduction.
Yeah. It's always interesting to see like how do any of these like journeys like start. Yeah. I got born into a family that was really chaotic. My father passed away when I was 3. He was a severe alcoholic, very violent, really devastating to like the family. And that was the environment that really formed and molded me. And I was taught from a really early age that what's really important is being smart and having money. And if I was smart and had money, then I'd have respect. And if I had respect, then I'd have love. And that's really great. And that'll lead you into a lot of like material success. It'll lead you to a lot of higher degrees in education. It'll lead you to a lot of really hard work. And I hope that if that's the way that you're living your life, if you were like me, that you never get to the end of that rainbow. Because at the end of that rainbow, you'll have everything and you'll actually realize it's still not enough. That'll make you ask some really hard questions that if it's actually not about all of this, what is it really about? And how do I really get what I want? And I had that own experience for me. It's a very challenging time in my life. I came through, went to some really dark places. But what I learned was hard work, perseverance, study, find people that are really smart, who has what I already want, who has that inner peace, who has that sense of purpose that comes in their life. Let me follow, see what they have to say about it. And today I live a life that's filled full of love, joy, connection, amazing people, provided for. And I just get to exist in the place that I'm at. And it's everything I've always wanted and ever wanted.
Wow. I think we could just turn off the podcast right there and let people go away with just that. And they would be like, oh my goodness. Wow. What an intro that is. Thank you for sharing that. I got goosebumps hearing that.
Mm.
So let's bring it back to Return on Life podcast. You shared some of that in that moment there about what is the return on life. But if I asked you today, just stopped down the street today, and you gave me, I said, give me return on life. What does that mean to you in 15 to 20 seconds? What would you say?
There's a lot of things that I thought about what return on life could be. One of them is I was like, oh, it's about how much good can I do in the world? It's about how much can I give to other people? How much service can I do? And after some period of time of really focusing on this, of really searching inside of myself what's true, my core belief is the highest return that I can have on life is being fully present in this moment and the depths of what does that really mean. And it's something that is such a deep experience. And there is no greater gift and no greater value, no greater treasure to me than what that means. I mean, like, am I fully present in this moment?
What was the change agent or ingredient that got you started on this path? Because I mean, you're way, way, way down this path of thinking. What was the change ingredient or the change agent that brought you here?
So the idea of happiness and what it meant to be like content in life was something I was raised with because we were in so much suffering. So from the time I was very young, our family was very focused. But what do we do? Okay, what are all the NLP skills? What are all of the relationship skills? What are all these technical skill sets that we need to learn to be able to learn how to navigate life better? And what are all the seminars we can go to and landmark forums and everything?
That was built into your family, or did that just come out of I have to do this? Like who pushed you into that world?
Life, the
Life.
suffering of life. It materializes some through my family, materializes some through my own experiences of sticking my hand on the stove over and over again, realizing, yeah, that's still really hot. I want to figure out a way to not burn myself again
Mhm.
with this. And I can't seem to keep myself from sticking my hand on that stove. So, okay,
Mhm.
great. So how am I going to learn? And so I would do all of these things. And I had the particular blessing though of really feeling like I had it all. Like, oh, I really got it. I got everything here. The last thing that I need though is I need to find a beautiful, amazing wife and have children, and then I'll have all of the things that anybody could ever have inside of this life,
Mhm.
the experiences that are here in life. Fast forward a little bit into that, and it epically crashed and burned, and it crushed me for what that meant. The pain was so deep and so strong. And I had a coach at the time I was working with. And we always have this part of the coaching program or the coaching rhythm. She'd always ask me, what do you want? And I'd say, oh, I want this money. I want this experience on this trip. I want this thing, that thing, the other thing. Yeah. Great practice. Um, but what I started saying to her is like, I want to love myself, love others,
Mhm.
be at peace. And I'm doing all of the things. I'm doing the journaling. I'm doing the meditation. I'm doing the walking. I'm doing the working out. I'm doing the eating good. I'm doing the I'm doing the throwing the lotion. And, you know, I'm doing the potions. I'm doing the candles. I'm doing the crystals on my forehead and any other part of my body I think of. None of it's working.
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. And so it took me, I sat there and what that was, the despair of what that was to say, holy smokes, I'm just sitting in it. Um, and then I went on to a different part of the journey with having to really dive to the next level of it, which
Can I
was really,
jump in there for a second?
please, yeah,
You talked about love yourself. I really believe that we cannot love ourselves and who we are, every little bit, every ounce of who we are. How can we love anybody else if we can't even love ourselves? Because uh, it's just impossible in my mind. And then the change that has to happen is forgiveness. We need to be forgiving and forgive ourselves in order to forgive others as well. I mean, we need to learn on ourselves before we can even help anybody else or forgive anybody else. Does that resonate with you in any way?
of course. It's a beautiful sentiment, love and forgiveness. What I'd invite you to ponder is there really any difference between the two?
Hmm.
My experience when I feel inside of the places of me that will show up that are less than what I want, perhaps I'll have some lustful sexual desire. Perhaps some lust for money here or for competition. If I am aware that that's what's going on inside of me in that moment, then I can almost look at myself as if I was a parent on an unruly child. And this unruly child just needs training. needs to teach and learn. Is that really the experience that you want? Do you really want to go sleep with her? Do you really want to dominate that person? Do you really want more money here? No, that's not what I really want. Well, what do you want? I really want peace. I really want to be content in this moment. Great. So how are you going to get back to that? Well, I can get back to that in a few ways. Breathing. It all comes back, though, to say, if I can view myself as the unruly child, then as an unruly child would go, I can simply love that child because the child is just learning. But except that in this case, they're both just parts of me. As a child learns best from love and support and asking questions to be able to come in alignment with proper behavior, perhaps that's the same way we do.
Ooh, love how he brought that full circle. Love that. Love that. Then who is Scott in the quiet? Who is Scott when you're uninterrupted?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I have a far way to go in this journey that I've decided that I want to go on. So it's a lot of training, you know, it's a lot of training in the quiet. That's a lot of sitting, watching, breathing, feeling. And it's like I'd make it akin to like playing sports for me, like playing basketball. That there's this thing when I was playing basketball that I didn't like really running drills. All these dribble drills, I thought they were pretty boring. I like game time was super fun. And then I was losing at the games. And the coach came in and he was like, "Hey man, see, you don't like losing at the games. I don't like losing at the games." He says, "I tell you what, if you do these drills, you're going to be better when it comes time for the game. And you're going to win the game. Maybe not every game, right? But you'll win more and you'll feel better about how you're doing." And it was true. It worked for me in basketball. Just like it works for me, I feel like it works for me here in life. That the more time that I can sit alone, training myself to feel deeper into looking at what's going on inside of me, how to stay calm, focused, relaxed, focus my mind, control the emotions, feel into deeper places of love, connection, and gratitude. Then I live life as an entrepreneur and as a mountain rock climber and with my family and my friends and going on vacations and doing all this stuff with just random people in the world sometimes. And that's game time. And then the game becomes, can I feel connected to myself, loving others, and being at peace every possible moment, regardless of whatever's happening? Life happens, and I just simply serve life the best that I possibly can. And the moment that comes up, from that place.
Right on. Hey, listeners, we are going to get into some really practical things about how to keep your money and grow your wealth and all that as well. But we're in a spot right now where we're diving deep into all things that really matter. It's the mindset, it's who we are as individuals, it's how comfortable we feel in our skin before we can actually really go out there and accomplish great things from the world's standpoint. So just hang in there. We're going to get there yet too. But I want to keep kind of going in this vein a little bit. This is really good. Scott, what would be your greatest gift or asset that you had, and maybe you don't have it anymore because you've created a better gift. You've found a better gift, a better asset to help the people around you.
Yeah. So the biggest gift that I was on for, in some ways, I guess I'm still on it, right? Is I had a really extreme desire for how do I build money and protect in wealth so that way I can be financially free and so I can go travel the world and have fun. Right? And I was like, cool, I need time freedom, I need money freedom, and I need to make sure it's durable.
There's that F word again.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Gotta have freedom and it's gotta be fun,
Yeah.
right? It's not about working all the time. not even spiritual work or godly work or service work or whatever. Like make it, it's supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a fun adventure, right? That we're all on together, right? And to have that, what I knew was I needed good finances because the road trip needs gas to put in the car,
Mm.
right? And it ain't putting as much, getting as much gas as I can. It's about making sure I'm on an awesome road trip, but also making sure that I'm never going to run out of gas because holy smokes, I don't want to sit out there with a sign that says, "Hey, I need some help with gas." you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what Royal Legal Solutions, like my company, was an extension of my own desires to create that for my life. As that, hey, I building this mechanism and system methodologies and asset protection, estate planning, tax, and investing. And how does it all need to come together with the right professionals and systems and processes and meeting rhythms and reports and strategic planning and all of that great stuff that all goes into entrepreneurialism and wealth. Um, and so I did that, and it's still growing, it's still maturing. I'm still very much involved in the company. And there's this other thing that's like, cool, now you got gas in the car, and simultaneously, how cool of a road trip can you plan? And
Mm.
how present and how awesome can the experience be in the road trip,
Mm.
right? And that's really the where I find myself in the crossroads of life right now. And is that it's this thing called like we figured out, cracked the code. Here's how the money thing has to work for us. And now I'm trying to work really hard to work on, through myself, with myself, to say, here's how the best way I can figure out a way that is a scalable, predictable way of mindset and living that allows us to have the best possible experience that we can have. And if we have money, it's easier to stay inside of the experience we want because we're not so pulled by thinking something terrible is going to happen and I'm going to end up on the street, which is a really hard experience. And I don't want that. Great. So if we can lock this thing up called money, then it makes it easier for us to go do this thing called here's exactly the road trip that I'm on and what I love about it.
Yeah. I have this term, it's bulletproof. Do we have a bulletproof business? Do I have a bulletproof life? Do I live in the presence and create that essence of presence so strong? And it's really challenging. It sounds like you figured out a little bit, but it's a real challenge for high D individuals, for driven people to actually be present with the most important thing, which is your loved ones. And I'm going to admit, I struggle with that often. I got so much going on, and I'm driven to succeed as the world would want me to succeed, not my family, so to speak, but the world. And the ego takes over, and it's hard to be present with the most important asset in your life, which is your family and your loved ones and your friends. It
Mhm.
sounds like you've got something figured out, or maybe you're still in process with that. What are the principles that you kind of live by then daily to keep sure that you're on that path? Make sure that you're still in that path.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Like running a business, all the same skills apply. So if anybody's a high D individual out there and says, "Oh man, this is going to be really tough for me," okay, these are things I coach people on professionally too. I take very few clients or people that I'll work with at any one time because I'm very focused on my own development, but I do take on people. The good news is that all of the things that you learned that helped you get to where you are professionally are exactly the things you need to be able to get to this place. So you're in the perfect place you need to be. You may need somebody to teach you how to do it,
Mm.
right? Or alternatively, you can do what I did, which was read tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of books, travel all the world and go talk to people and kind of piece it together, and you'll find a way. There's 1,000 paths up the mountain. They all lead to the same place. Any one of them is okay. Easier if you have a guide, but you don't have to. You may end up with more bruises. That's okay.
So is crucible moments, challenges, fear, doubt, are they all worthy experiences for the journey?
I love this question because it always makes me re-ask a question that says, if the purpose of why I'm here as a school ground is to teach me how to raise who I am, and the intuitive way that we all know that there's higher and lower states of being, higher and lower states of consciousness. Yeah. When we get into higher states or experience like this, we all intuitively know this is true. Yeah. Okay, great. So we got born into a place, and in this place, like a classroom, has all these things in it, but they doesn't have like a lesson plan in the way that we're normally would get. So how does it teach us? Perhaps what happens is the way that it teaches us is to give us the experience of that's what it feels like to stick my hand on the stove. Maybe I shouldn't do that. We call that pain and suffering. But from the perspective of the classroom, if you asked it, it would say, well, how else are you supposed to learn? So not only are they worthy experiences, they're probably the things that are there that are most important to be grateful for, because it's the thing that's showing you here is exactly what I need to be focused on to be able to raise my level of consciousness, to get into the next grade, so to speak. And how awesome is it that this thing called pain and suffering focuses my attention so acutely on it that I'll focus on it. Well, because if you're not going to focus on it, how are you going to improve it? And the more I look at this thing, the more I realize how amazing it is. Once you understand what the goal is, and that it's all designed with such an acute level of like a masterful classroom.
I like that analogy. Man, you've got the best analogies. I just love it. From the classroom to the schoolyard to the, the stove, the mountaintop experience. I just really, really love it. Courageous people often inspire us. Like we look at people that have just done courageous things. Is it in them, or is it a muscle that they've just learned to work and get to the point where every little step gets them to be more and more courageous at whatever it is? Or is it just a moment that brings all that courage to the surface, and at that point they become a courageous person?
I love the question. I'm wondering if you'll tell me what you think courage is.
Well, great question. Way to throw it back at me. Courage to me is doing something that maybe nobody else is willing to do in that moment, doesn't have the willpower to do, and isn't, first of all, it hasn't been manifested to them. And they are doing it for something beyond their own recognition. They're out to bring great, great value to many, many people. That to me is courage.
Beautiful. So this is great, because I understand courage is a little differently. The way I understand courage is feeling fear and doing it anyway. Anytime I feel fear and I do it anyway, courage. You can't have courage without fear.
I agree with your definition. But I think it has to have a bigger meaning behind it, which is where, what am I doing to help bring great value to others in that moment?
Sure. If the thing that's being great value to moment to others, if fear is a component of it, and you say, well, there's something inside of me.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that brings fear when I think about whatever is the thing I'm going to do that's going to bring great value to others.
Yeah.
Sometimes people would call this like, oh, this is your limiting belief if you're inside of like the workshop rooms, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we'll take it for the example. It says, I have fear that comes up whenever I'm thinking about doing great work, like for other people. For
So
some
I
guy,
see, yeah, I see yourself. I mean, often I do the comparison. Are you a baker or a chef? Both involve doing something in the kitchen, both involve a lot of ingredients, but I see you as the baker versus the chef, where every little ounce of whatever that goes in or speck of whatever goes in can either make or break the baking. Where cooking or being the chef, you taste it, you keep going. But I see you as you before you're going to climb Kilimanjaro, which you've done, correct?
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of planning. It just wasn't, well, let's go do it. I would think that you've processed that decision, hundreds of different ways to make sure that success was going to be the end game.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And I would think that you do that for your clients, for your business, for your family.
Yeah. It's a way of living. Yeah. For me, it's a way of living and sitting in a lot of silence
Hmm.
and going very
Silence.
slowly through things.
Silence. That is that's a hard thing for people to do in this world. Silence. When you say you sit in silence, are you saying for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a day? What is silence to you? And how has that changed over, let's say, the last decade? Like, when did this understanding of silence, meditation, bring Scott to this place?
So I started to experiment with silence, like in the traditional way that everybody would know of, right? Okay, I
What's
got my
traditional?
my
What's
med
traditional?
my meditation timer. I got it on 5 minutes. I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna do this thing called not thinking about. So they're telling me I got to do this thing, that I'm not gonna have any thoughts anymore. And I sit down and boom, all the thoughts running in my head about, it's food to like what's going on with my car, the thing at work, I wonder how this date's gonna go this weekend, whatever, right? It's all just running. And I said, this thing is dumb because it's like there's no way you can get to whatever they're saying because these thoughts are just crazy. But I kept doing it. And
Mm.
as I kept doing it, what I found is that if I just focused on just watching the thoughts that are going through my head, it was kind of entertaining. I was like, what kind of crazy stuff is this mind going to come up with now? Let's see what's up here, and then slowly like it would start to like calm down like more and more. And then it got to the point where like the 5 minute timer would go off and I would just turn off the timer and I'd continue to sit there because I was like, well, this is actually I'm actually enjoying this and I have some time. So I'll just continue to do it. And eventually it got to a place where things just got all the thoughts would like slow down more and more. And then they would stop. And then sometimes they'd come back and they'd stop. And then and every now and again, it would be like these moments of clarity that would come up. Oh, have this conversation with this person and make sure to say this to them. Oh, this person's actually feeling this way. Make sure to talk to them. Oh, that's what that deal is actually about. This investment opportunity. That's the tweak that needs to happen in it to be able to make this whole deal work, right? Um, and it didn't seem to be magical. I think what was happening is like it cleared the RAM off of the computer, and then was able to just come into like what's here. And that's when my life went from being an entrepreneur that worked, an investor that worked really hard, to an entrepreneur and investor that was working, but didn't have to work hard. I was still just as active, but it wasn't the experience of working hard because it's like, oh, I kind of feel like I know exactly what I need to do because I sat in silence.
Yeah.
What as good as silence as I was able to be trained in. Remember, it's a basketball drill,
Mm.
right? So I was drilling a skill called being quiet on the inside. And at the higher, after working on this for some time, maybe a couple years, then the skill actually can progress to a place where you can be in silence on the inside while actually being around a bunch of people while you're even talking. That there's no need to actually have physical quiet, because what you're really looking for is the same experience you were sitting before, which was my mind is off, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Even if you take like this experience that we're having now, Randy, do you consciously plan each thing you're going to say? No, you're just here and words come out, right? So there's a place in you that's silent, and from the silence, the creation happens. If your mind is spinning about what question should I ask, and I'm afraid if this person likes me, and what's this thing that might happen later in the day, how well are you able to stay in the moment of talking and engaging with your guest, or your colleague, or your boss, or your sales lead, or whatever it would be? So you already know the experience of inner silence.
Mm-hmm.
It's already part of your life. You might benefit from just spending some time running the basketball drills.
Fantastic. The skill of silence. And and I love that you shared that you could be in a busy setting, yet in the quietness of yourself. And you see these in people. I see it all the time in people that understand this. They have the ability to see social cues in crazy settings that nobody else can see. They can hear somebody needing them across the room without any conversation, any dialogue, any eye contact. They just know it. And I often instruct the people that I coach and mentor is that right now somebody is screaming and yelling your name, that they need your help, but you just haven't tuned into the frequency and the vibration and the attraction of that individual that needs you right now. In whatever it could be personal, could be business, could be financial, whatever, but they're right now yelling your name. Where are you? And I found that to be true when I am in silence, that I hear names, I see people I don't even know exist. I go, I need to talk to that person. By the way, I am a twin, an identical twin. And
Mm.
my twin and I, we have some pretty cool, crazy dialogue happening without us being in the same location, room, state, province, whatever it is. We've had some really cool experiences. So this
Wow.
all the time.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's go a little bit into your business. Let's transition a little bit there. I love, by the way, I could spend an hour and a half here. But let's help our listeners understand what you do for return on life in the business world for them, beyond mindset and just helping them, understand who they are. What do you do to help them with all things investing, making sure that they they keep their money? There's some tax deferments, things, all the things that you do when we think of Royal Legal Solutions. Give us a little pitch on that.
Yeah. So what we endeavor to do is to make our clients the CEO of their own wealth building company that's
Mm.
built and managed for them, and that we train them in how to run it over the course of a year. So it's inside of the first 6 weeks, we sit down and say, great, should we protect ourselves from lawsuits to make sure that lawsuits can't take our money away? Great. Here's an LLC structure, or a series LLC structure, or a trust structure, whatever happens to be appropriate. Make sure people can't take away our money from lawsuits. Should we make sure that if something happens to us, that the money goes appropriately to take care of our kids? Okay, great. So let's incorporate some estate planning. You know, what happens if we end up in the hospital? Okay, here's some powers of attorney. Cover off on that. How are you doing on taxes? Are your taxes below, 15% as an effective tax rate? Okay, great. Well, here's some things you should do for deductions, tax shelters. And do you want to get those lower? Okay, well, then here's types of investments that you can make. and pay out somewhere between 10 to 30% a year on average for these types of real estate or green energy or various types of investments and to syndications for accredited investors. And those will give you some cash flow gains, some net worth gains, and depending upon which ones they were, they'll help you offset taxes. And then we can get that all set up in the first 6 weeks. I'd say, great, now you're basically all the foundations of your company are all built. You've met with your attorneys and your CPAs, MBAs, CFOs. You've met with your investment advisory team, got it all together. And now let's start the process of monthly meetings to make sure that you're running everything correctly with the appropriate team members. So now you learn, now we built everything, how do we run it? And how do I appropriately interact with this type of professional team inside of a structure so I can learn about how wealth needs to work.
Very cool. The majority of our listeners are entrepreneurs, as you would think, return on life and just being either self-employed or entrepreneurs of some sort. I would imagine that the majority of your clients are also entrepreneurs, self-employed.
Yep.
I would imagine that they're all trying to maybe earn their first million, or maybe it's more than that. What is it? And how can you help somebody that's listening right now get on the fast track? And if there one thing, and there's a lot of questions I'm asking here, but is there one thing that they need to start with first? What would be the most important thing? But are most of your clients entrepreneurs?
So our clients come from a variety of backgrounds. A lot of them are entrepreneurs and business owners. But what we found is that if a person or a household is making over $150,000 a year, the amount of money that we can save people on taxes will pay for everything else that we do because we're so good at tax.
Wow.
So our services really pay for themselves because of that. And it doesn't take having to make a ton of money to have that work. And it's really the number one most important thing. It took me, 10 years to figure out how all of this was supposed to work, of really studying it and building everything from the ground up for myself. And now our clients can get everything inside of 6 weeks and not just learn about it, but actually have it built. So it's, saving money on taxes is the number one most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Second most important thing you can do is not spend your money as much as you can, right? And there's a lot of good reasons why you're probably spending more money than you need to, and the thing that people are afraid to do, but they must do, is you must put money into investments. You must push through the fear and have the courage to start setting money aside each year and placing into investments to flex the muscle of saying that I invest the money, because you need the passive income to be able to get the free so you can then go really live the life that you're looking to live.
The mindset. So you can give people, freedom in a box, so to speak. You do that in 6 weeks. But don't they need the mindset to have freedom before they can even touch freedom in a box?
And so I have a weekly group that I meet with. And this weekly group actually started with everybody telling me, like, it's like, what do you guys want? Like, we want to make more money. It's like, great. Well, I have this system I put together for myself, goal tracking, habit tracking, all these tools. And I made it into this blue book called the Royal Life Planner. And so I was like, great, I'm going to do the Royal Life coaching group. We're going to meet every week. And you guys are all telling me you want to make more money. So great, I'll show you how to make more money. And then we'll use this to be able to track your effectiveness about being able to execute. And we'll have some reflections of your state of being, which will also govern your relative ability to execute at the level that you're trying to get to. And this will be great conversations. We'll work on what you're doing, from what place you're doing it, and how well you're setting your goals. How realistic are your goals for what your actual capabilities are? And we'll get a lot of awareness around all of that. Great. I got in through the second session of a 12-week program, and nobody had financial goals anymore. When we actually had to look at what was happening in life, they were actually like, oh, I actually am making enough money. But I feel like if I solve this issue that's with my wife at home, where we're constantly fighting, that I'll probably have more energy to go work on my business and I'll be less tired, less confused. It's over there. So how do I work on my relationship with my wife or my kids? Or how do I learn how do I take care of myself? Because I'm actually just kind of tired. And so what we found is that that's also needed. First step is to get the financial piece locked down because it pulls our attention the biggest. And then the next piece says, okay, great. Do you really need more money? Because if you need more money, awesome. Let's work on making more money. If it's not more money though, how do we get awareness of the other thing that's going on so we can either make more money or otherwise live a better life? And to me, it doesn't matter because it's all just life and it's all just living and it's all the same. All that matters is, are you passionate about what you're doing?
So true. I've got a buddy that worked with the Heat when they're winning all their championships, and he has a ring to prove it. But his sole purpose for being a coach on that team was not about coaching basketball. It was about coaching life off the court, because they realized if the player life was miserable off the court, they were miserable on the court. So his whole purpose of being on the team was just to get them grounded at home, grounded in life, so they could be grounded on the court. So
Bet that makes you laugh when you hear people talk about work-life balance. Like that's a real thing.
yes, it sure is. What is work-life balance? Is there such a thing?
No, there's just life. There's just life and living, and part of what you do that is work.
So when I've heard people say, balanced life is equals broke life.
No,
Balanced life equals broke life. I think it's BS too, but
it's the exact
a lot of
opposite.
people believe that.
Yeah, what's happening is that there's the process of creation is really simple as I see it. There's the amount of energy that you have, there's the tools that you have, and then when you say energy times tools, then you get creation. And it can be create whatever you want, create money, create relationships, create fun and adventure in your life, whatever. What we all do is we say, most people is that they read tons of books, take all the courses, whatever, because they're like, I need more tools, because they don't actually know how to influence their energy. And that's why everybody's saying, like, I need more tools. I need more tools. I need the 27 steps off of Instagram of how I'm going to do it. And then I say, great. Do you really believe that more studying is actually going to move the dial in any significant way at this point in your life? And they'll all say, nope, I don't. But why are you doing it? I don't know. I was like, great, because it's actually the only thing you know. If you want to learn how to do this other thing, which is actually you're only operating at 10% of the amount of energy that you can have, and you learn how to work on that area. Well, if I can move from 10% to 20% energy, I've actually doubled the amount of creation I was able to do with learning no new skills. And my point of view in it, and I don't know if you would agree with me, but my point of view in it is that this is actually the mega hack for entrepreneurs, investors, and for everybody, is because the real gulf may be AI. But as I see it in my own personal experience, the real gulf is how much energy you have. Because we all know the limits of our energy, because at some point during the day, we actually tap out. And when we tap out, we seek distraction from social media, from watching stuff, going to talk to Carol in the other office or whatever. Your distraction is your compensating mechanism for when you run out of energy. If you had more energy, you'd never be distracted.
Wow. Wow, that is a mega hack. Mega hack. Love that. Love that. I love that whole concept. Energy times your tools equals creation. And it is really true. Energy is Well, it's energy, it's everything. It powers our life, it powers our soul, it powers our mind, it powers the energy, the positivity that I radiate. And so true. And I work with a lot of coaching clients as well. And so often I find that they're so busy doing so many things. And I just say, bring it down to one or two. If you're in sales, what are you using to prospect? What are your prospecting channels right now? Well, I got these 6 prospecting channels. No, 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 no. Let's take it down to one. What's your best one? I want you to only do that one for the rest of the week and even next week, and we'll come back. Turn the others all off, whatever they are. Ignore them. Just concentrate on one. Let's get one with the right energy. And success usually happens at that point, but we're so busy with too many things, too many distractions. And that is when we tap out, we look for distractions to not have us
Yeah.
get.
Everybody tends to think that distractions are happening to us.
Mm.
And I think it's the opposite. I think what happens is that we actually seek distraction, and we actually seek it at such a level that's subconscious that you can pick up your phone and find yourself halfway through a news feed and say, how the heck did that happen? How did I get here?
Wow. You're dropping some major truth bombs here. Oh, love this, Scott. Love this. Love this. Um, how many of your clients come as millionaires? So they're already a millionaire, let's call it a millionaire, or somebody super well to do already. Millionaire could be so many different things in all different parts of the country.
Oh, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
in my marketplace, the average home is, $2.5 million, and a lot of people have no mortgages at this point, so they're already millionaires. But from a perspective of you of your clients, how many come with a dollar value that they feel not worthy of and want to get to another dollar value, or how many of them come with something that they're already kind of pretty comfortable with, but they just want to do it better?
So we have clients that come in with negative net worths all the way up to like 25 million,
Mhm.
you know? Um,
How different is the mindset between those two, or is it?
yeah. Every person has a different mindset. Some people came into money in different ways, you know? The real thing that we focus on is, are you making over $150,000 a year? If you are, great. Then there's an easy win that we can do called saving you money on taxes. Now that we've saved money on taxes, that gives us more money that we can then help you work on how to get used to placing investments. That's at somebody that's at the very low end of sophistication, low end of the journey. They're at the very beginning stages. And maybe what they were doing is spending all the money that they ever made, because there's a lot of reasons people do that. Sometimes they think they should, sometimes they're using it as a way of compensating for the fact that they actually don't enjoy what they're doing. So they use like retail therapy as a way to be able to make it through. Nothing wrong with retail therapy. It's just a coping mechanism, right?
Yeah.
So it means there's some other things there that we can look at the same time and help with that. And then clients that have higher net worths or have significant investments already, a lot of times what we find is they're at a different level. Most of the time they started placing investments. Yes, I mean, like, are you sure that the investments are really optimized for whatever your long-term goal is? Maybe, right? First, you know what your long-term goals are. Like, how much cash flow do you actually need every month, right? What is there a particular net worth goal that you need to hit to make sure that you and your family are protected if anything happens to you, right? And I say, great, well, it'll be like at least this much money is what my family is going to need to survive on if something happens to me. And either I need investments or I need life insurance to make sure that's going to happen. And then there's some people that are at the upper end, but still not all the way there. We'll ask the question is like, do you know what is the exact next investment you need? Like, do you know what cash flow that needs to bring in, what net worth play, the exit timeline. Is it a 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year exit? Do you know what kind of tax benefits you're needing it to come in for you? So you can know, here's the exact criteria that I'm looking for the next 50 or $100,000 I'm going to place into a deal. Then now I don't know that. Great. Okay, cool. So let's work on that. And so we look to then balance these holistically from everything that's inside of the portfolio, save money on taxes so we can get more money into the portfolio, and then strategically bracket, here's the kind of deal you're looking for to meet the goals that you need. And then I have my own investment pipeline that I introduce to clients, that I use for myself. This says, great, here's an assortment of deals of operators and deals that I place my own money into. You're welcome to use them as too. I'm happy to make those introductions for you.
Wow. I'm just looking at the time here, and we've bombed 50 minutes just like that. It feels like it was 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So deep, so incredibly, yeah, it's been an incredible 50 minutes. Scott, thank you for this. I want to make sure that you get some value out of this. What if somebody's listening to this and they have heard things that resonate with them, whether it be in life, mindset, but also investing? That's where we were going to start, and we didn't really get there. And protecting your hard-earned cash. How can people reach out and find you?
Yeah, for all things asset protection, estate planning, tax, investing related, best is just go to the website royallegalsolutions.com, and there's a great video there. It takes about 30 minutes to watch, and it walks through everything. Here's all the teams work, all the systems and processes. Like, it's a look under the hood of here's how everything works. If it all makes sense, then you can schedule an appointment right there with the legal team on a calendar right underneath the video. If you want to be, me, I'm actually like a huge nerd on all things education related. So if you click up in the right-hand corner of the webpage, there's a thing that says the Royal Vault. And that's where I have 11 ebooks, hundreds of hours of video. There's direct access to the staff to be able to ask questions, and there's no cost to join the vault. It's the place that you can go in and just really start to devour information. If you're wanting some more course to study, as well too. So that's really the best thing on all of those fronts. And then I'm always looking to work with people that are and wanting to really curious about working with people that are already really high executors that don't feel like they've really capped out at how high can they really get into the most elite level of themselves. I have a group that works with people that are at the very beginning stages of trying to figure out this stuff. My most favorite people to work with one-on-one on personal levels is the already really high executors that have like, hey, I've already done everything and I can't get to that next level. I feel like that's the place that I'm really able to help people in life right now. But everybody is able to email me at Scott, SCOTT at royallegalsolutions.com, and happy to pick up a conversation from there. Or you can just interact directly with the team through royallegalsolutions.com.
You're right on. You touched on a word there that is really, really an important word in my world: curiosity, or curious, and imagination. Both of these are gifts that we're given as children. Were given to us in abundance, yet over the course of time, we turn down our curiosity and shut down our imagination. And when we think about our imagination, it's anything that we want it to be, and it's there for us to use every moment of the day. And so I love that you use that word. If any of the listeners here are curious and they have an imagination to be much, much more than they are, I think you found somebody that can help you with that. Scott, so much value today. Just really want to thank you for that. I want to finish off with a bit of a speed round just to make it a little bit more fun for our listeners.
Sure.
So hang in there for a little bit longer. But wow, so much depth today. Thank you, Scott. So speed round: fine dining, Uber Eats, takeout, or a home cooked meal. What's Scott doing?
Oh, gourmet home cooked meal would be my favorite.
Gourmet home cooked.
Yeah,
What would it
especially with a
be?
big group
What
of
would it
friends.
be?
Oh, probably some delicious Indian food or something like that. I just love it's probably hopefully something from like the farmer's market, you know. I just love anything that has great ingredients, you
Mm,
know, and was prepared by somebody who really just loves cooking, and a group of people like getting together is my favorite thing.
beautiful. I love Indian food. It's just so flavorful. It's so good. So good. What do you do to let your hair down besides climb big, tall mountains around the world?
Yeah, I go rock climbing.
Mhm.
I also in the past, I haven't picked it up recently, but in the past I actually used to do stand-up comedy. So
Oh,
I'd get up on stage and then go tell jokes and make people laugh, and that was really, really fun, really creative.
wow.
Uh,
I'd
yeah.
buy a ticket to that. I'd buy a ticket to that. Do you have a favorite band?
Oh man, a favorite band. Oh goodness. You know, I gotta say, I'm actually so out of touch with music right now. Most of all the music I'm listening to is like um probably just like classical or just like soft music, and I'm really out of touch with all things music related at the moment.
Not a problem there. Not a problem. Do you prefer text, phone, or in person?
It probably depends. I'd say like for most everything in my life, I'm like just text me because that's probably all that really needs to happen. But if it actually comes down to having a real conversation with somebody, I would want it to be face to face in some type of really quiet setting.
Yeah, I can see that. Audible or book?
Oh, I crush Audible.
Uh,
I think I'm doing maybe like 3 books a week on Audible.
nice. Have you used some of these summary Audible platforms
Mhm.
like Blinkist and so forth?
Yeah, I'll do those to kind of help me see like is this something I want to like dive
Mhm.
deeper into,
Yeah,
just as a way of like screening what is it that I'm gonna really put my attention on.
awesome. Last question, trick question. If you were a scratch and sniff sticker, if you're a scratch and sniff sticker and I came and I rubbed your back,
Hmm.
what would I smell?
I think I remember this as a kid that the best one always was watermelon. I can't.
Watermelon. I love
Was I?
watermelon. It's a superfood too, by the way.
Yeah, man. Love me some watermelon. I was raised in Houston, Texas. So I
Wow.
was raised on watermelon every summer, and it was like a staple. I didn't know that there was a way of getting through the summer without just eating a watermelon every day.
Fantastic. Well, listeners, thank you so much for listening in and for having such an amazing guest. Scott, you have been a wealth of knowledge, information, guidance. I'm going to call you a guidance counselor today, guiding us through so much. Oh, it was so amazing. So thank you so much, Scott. Really appreciate having you on the Return on Life podcast.
It's been a pleasure to be here, Randy. You're a phenomenal host. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.